hostage to be freed since the Israel and Hamas ceasefire fell through, sparking hope that stalled negotiations for peace might finally progress. An emotional reunion as a mother embraced a son she feared she would never see again. Adon Alexander, an Israeli-American citizen who grew up in New Jersey and moved to Israel to join its military, was released on Monday after nearly 600 days in captivity. Hamas abducted Adon and 250 other hostages from Israel on October 7, 2023, igniting a drawn-out and bloody war. He is the latest of many hostages to be freed, but his release is unique. Adon was not exchanged for Palestinian prisoners being held in Israel, but released unconditionally, Hamas reportedly says as a goodwill gesture toward President Donald Trump. His transfer to the Red Cross was calm and simple, unlike the choreographed and harshly criticized handovers of previous hostages.
And so obviously it would have been maybe counterproductive to have been sadistic and cruel, as we saw on previous occasions when you're trying to curry favor with the Americans.
In a surprise to Tel Aviv, Hamas and the U.S. held direct talks with mediators in Qatar and Egypt, bypassing Israel. Gabe Elamari, senior fellow at the Washington Institute, says the U.S. is sending a message to the Middle East.
America first means America first. The U.S. will prioritize U.S. interests, and it's also a message to Israel. The U.S. will do what the U.S. needs to do for its interest. If it works with Israel, great. If it works without informing Israel, also great.
With the release of Adon comes a renewed hope for ceasefire negotiations between Israel and Hamas, though their goals remain at an impasse.
The positions of Israel and Hamas continue to be irreconcilable. Hamas wants a definite end to the war that keeps it in power, while Israel is saying we're not going to accept a situation where Hamas remains in power.
EWTN News contributor Alberto Fernandez says the question is not if this conflict will end, but how it will end.
The question now is the maneuvering by the parties, the Israelis, Hamas, other Palestinians, Arab powers, the United States, about how the end game is played. Israel clearly won militarily in terms of the punishment it was able to inflict on Hamas, but that doesn't mean that that is the way the end of the war or this war is going to end. We still don't know.
58 hostages remain in Gaza, including at least 20 presumed to be alive. Their families celebrated Adon's return, but called on the U.S. to save all remaining captives in Gaza before it's too late.
Mr. President, sir, all of the Israeli people are behind you. End this war. Bring them all home.
That release came just before Trump made a visit to the Middle East, the first major overseas trip of his second term. The president did not visit Israel or address concerns in Gaza, instead prioritizing economic deals with oil-rich Arab countries during his three-day tour. On his first stop in Saudi Arabia, he met with Syrian President Ahmed al-Shara, a former jihadist who seized power after the collapse of the brutal Assad regime in December. It's the first time leaders from the two nations have met in 25 years. He also made a surprise announcement that he would lift U.S. sanctions on Syria, giving a needed lifeline to a country torn apart by more than a decade of civil war. These efforts to normalize relations with Syria break with decades of U.S. precedent, but a change eagerly welcomed by Syrians who crowded streets and lit fireworks in celebration.
This is a second happiness and a second liberation. The sanctions will be lifted, which means a revival is coming. We will no longer have crises, no more water crisis, no more economic crisis.
Along with numerous other financial deals throughout the trip, Trump also mentioned in Qatar that his administration is nearing a nuclear deal with Iran, though it is unclear whether the U.S. is asking the country to forego its nuclear program entirely. The opulence of the Mideast visit to the wealthy Gulf states highlighted the mega deals that were being announced, with some American billionaires like Elon Musk joining Trump as part of the U.S. entourage. Among other agreements, the U.S. will export billions of dollars of advanced semiconductor chips to the region in exchange for billions of dollars of Gulf wealth being channeled into U.S. companies. Amid those flashy announcements, Trump was also met with intense criticism about a $400 million gift he planned to accept from the royal family of Qatar, a 747 luxury jet he said he would use as the new Air Force One. Members of Congress on both sides of the aisle raised immediate concerns about the legality of accepting the jet, the possibility it could be loaded with listening devices, and the nearly $1 billion cost to the American taxpayer to retrofit the plane for security features required to transport America's commander-in-chief.
Well, what I'm concerned is the safety of the president. I mean, Qatar's not, in my opinion, a great ally. I mean, they support Hamas, and so what I'm worried about is the safety of the president of the United States.
Gift, bribe, call it what you want. I imagine the government of Qatar would expect a return on this investment in the president of the United States. So this is ridiculous to think that he can take this airplane.